Hey everyone, welcome back to another explainer. So, picture this for a second, a completely casual Sunday night. You're sitting back, maybe watching the World Cup final, just hanging out with some friends. It's a scene playing out in millions of living rooms around the world. But in one of those living rooms, that exact laid-back setting formed the backdrop for a moment that fundamentally altered nearly a century of mathematics. Today, we are looking at a profound breakthrough in algebraic geometry. And the crazy thing? It didn't come from years of isolated scribbling on chalkboards, it came from a collaboration between a mathematician and an artificial intelligence over just a few hours.
Okay, let's dive right into this. What you're seeing is a post from the platform X by Levin Alpagay, a brilliant number theorist and former junior fellow at Harvard who now works over at Anthropic. It reads, "Hello there, the Jacobian Conjecture is false. Thanks to my close friend Akil for asking about it and my other close friend Fable for working during the World Cup final." I mean, it's so incredibly casual, right? Lowercase letters, totally relaxed tone. But the mathematical breakthrough it announced is absolutely monumental. With a single casually worded update, Alpagay announced the toppling of one of the longest-standing questions in mathematics, basically just thanking his human friend for the prompt and his AI friend, Anthropic's Fable 5, for doing the heavy lifting.
To really wrap our heads around the magnitude of what went down that Sunday night, we're breaking this explainer down into three quick parts. First, the notorious math mystery. Second, the AI counterexample. And finally, the new AI collaborator. Let's get into it.
Part 1. The notorious math mystery, unpacking a mathematical white whale. Before we can even begin to appreciate the AI's solution, we kind of need to respect the sheer intimidating history of this problem. 87. I really want you to let that number sink in for a second. 87 years. That is exactly how long this mathematical mystery stood completely undefeated. We're talking about whole generations of the world's most brilliant minds dedicating huge chunks of their careers to this problem, wrestling with its complexities only to walk away completely empty-handed. And yet, this near-century-old fortress of a problem was brought down in just a few hours during a football match. No way, right?
Let's trace back how this problem grew into such a legendary challenge. The seeds were actually planted way back in 1884 when it was first stated for two variables. By 1939, it was fully generalized, becoming the absolute beast we know it as today. It actually grew to such prominence that in 1998, it was officially added to Steve Smalley's famous list of the most important mathematical problems for the next century. That gave it a seat right next to the legendary Riemann hypothesis. And then, bam, we jump all the way to July 2026, where an AI finally breaks the streak.
So what exactly are we dealing with here? Well, the Jacobian Conjecture asks a deceptively simple question about polynomial maps. If you remember from calculus, a non-zero Jacobian determinant is necessary for a function to be locally invertible. The conjecture basically proposed that if you have a polynomial map from n-dimensional space to itself, and its Jacobian determinant is a non-zero constant, well, that should be enough to guarantee the map has a polynomial inverse globally. So the crucial point to take away here is that invertibility is the ultimate strict condition this conjecture demanded. It was a bold claim that a specific local property globally guarantees another.
But, it was a total trap. This conjecture has a truly notorious reputation in the math community. Over the decades, brilliant human mathematicians were repeatedly fooled by it. In fact, at least 5 completely published proofs were later found to contain subtle, fatal errors. And actually, that's just the published ones. Unpublished attempts easily number in the hundreds. Because of this, institutions and mathematicians developed a deep caution around the Jacobian conjecture. Claiming you solved it was literally an invitation to have your work torn apart by your peers.
All right, part 2, the AI counterexample, the single fatal flaw. And this brilliantly illustrates what makes this whole story so fascinating. Fable 5 didn't sit there and write out some tedious 100-page proof. Nope, it found a devastating shortcut. The conjecture demanded a strict rule: a non-zero constant guarantees an inverse. But the AI went and found a concrete polynomial map in 3 dimensions with a constant Jacobian determinant of -2. That meets the requirement perfectly for sure. But critically, it failed to actually be invertible. Now, to prove a function is not invertible, you really just need to show that multiple different inputs lead to the exact same output. And this is exactly where the AI showed its staggering precision. To test the rule, Fable 5 mapped out 3 highly specific, distinct input coordinates. Let's look at them. The first is 0, 0, -1/4. The second is 1, -3/2, 13/2. And the third is -1, 3/2, 13/2. And here is the absolute gotcha moment. The fatal collision. When you run all three of those highly specific, totally distinct inputs through the AI's polynomial map, they all land on the exact same output. -1/4, 0, 0. It's like a mathematical brick wall. Because multiple distinct inputs lead to the same output, global invertibility is completely destroyed. I mean, you can't reverse the map if you don't know which of the three original points you started from, right? The AI didn't just bend the rules, it handed over verifiable, hard coordinates that shatter the 87-year-old conjecture entirely.
Moving to part 3, the new AI collaborator, a paradigm shift in science.
Let's zoom out from the specific math problem for a second, because what happened during that World Cup final tells us something absolutely massive about the macro trend of artificial intelligence. Fable 5 was built primarily for ambitious coding projects, multi-day autonomous work sessions. But in the hands of Levin Alpoj, it evolved. It didn't just act as a specialized coding bot taking some benchmark test. It acted as a real-time, genuine scientific collaborator. Alpoj fed a decades-old conjecture to a model, and in the span of a single evening, they essentially co-authored a verifiable disprove.
And look, this is not just an isolated lucky strike. We are literally witnessing a massive acceleration in AI capabilities. Just walk through the rapid succession of breakthroughs in 2026 alone. Early in the year, Google DeepMind's alpha-proof Nexus autonomously resolved 9 previously open or DOS problems. By mid-year, Anthropic's Claude Mythos elegantly proved the unit distance conjecture. Shortly after that, Axiom's AxiProver solved 4 open problems in algebraic geometry. And now, in July 2026, Fable 5 disproves the Jacobian Conjecture. The pace is just breathtaking.
Now you might be wondering, especially with that history of false proofs for the Jacobian conjecture we talked about, why should we actually trust these AI breakthroughs? Well, the answer is lean formalization. Think of this as a rigorous verification layer where AI-generated mathematical proofs are strictly machine-checked for logic and accuracy. In the past, human peer review missed really subtle errors in Jacobian proofs. But with lean, mathematics has a precise, unforgiving filter that mathematically guarantees the validity of the steps. It basically eliminates human error from the equation entirely.
Let's move to see how this builds, because this creates an incredible compounding effect in the scientific community that we call the AI math flywheel. It goes like this. Step 1, the AI generates a complex, novel mathematical output. Step 2, lean formalization strictly and formally verifies it, proving it is completely flawless. Step 3, those new verified proofs are added to math libraries, which expands the foundational knowledge that future AI systems will train on and build from. This flywheel is spinning faster and faster. Which leaves us with a pretty fascinating, almost dizzying reality to ponder. Alpoj himself actually noted that Fable 5 had a pretty turbulent launch, even facing an 18-day export control suspension right before this breakthrough. But regulatory hurdles aside, the sheer capability of these systems is now undeniable. We really have to ask ourselves, what happens when these AI tools are pointed at the problems human experts have circled, completely unsuccessfully, for a century? The Jacobian conjecture has fallen. So, what scientific barrier is next? Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and keep your eyes on the horizon because science is moving faster than ever.